Hello, everyone. My name is Marie Burns, and I want to ask you a question that I'm curious if you have ever counted the passwords, the number of passwords that you keep track of these days. I know myself, I stopped counting after about 200. Now, I know I have a couple of businesses, so maybe that makes my number a little higher than normal, but it still feels, doesn't it, like a ridiculous volume of number of passwords that we have to keep track of these days. I know it's all for our own safety and security of our personal information, which is no doubt definitely a good thing, but I still find myself with this thought going through my head, can we just scan my eyeballs and get it over with already? I find that volume of passwords almost to the point of feeling ridiculous, and it can feel overwhelming, but I know it's a necessary part of our lives these days. So I feel like passwords have become kind of our magic words. If you were to think back to being a child, when I heard the magic words, it was usually someone who cared, an adult, a parent, a grandparent, or a teacher maybe, asking you, what are the magic words? They were prodding us along, right, to remember our manners, our pleases and our thank yous. And today, I really feel like those magic words, manners are still important, but as adults, it's those darn passwords because they still, ironically, actually have a lot to do with the people that we care about in our lives, just in a little different way. I think about the kitchen as another example. It's the location of my favorite room in the house, but certainly one of the areas that we tend to show love and spend time with, again, those important people that we care about in our lives, sharing meals, creating food and memories with different tools and gadgets that we have in the kitchen. But what if we didn't know where those tools and gadgets were or belonged in the kitchen? Probably pretty similar to when you've been at a friend's house and we're helping to clear the dishes or do the dishes maybe after a meal, and you have no idea where anything goes. You're trying to be helpful, but you just really don't know where things go. The same thing can happen with our passwords. Unless we tell someone, or unless someone tells us, we can't be helpful, can we? Even if we want to. So when we start to think about how can we help our loved ones find things financially when unexpected events strike? I had a family member who lived on the East Coast, and he agreed to be the successor trustee for an aunt who lived on the West Coast, so clear across the other side of the country. And after she passed away, he found himself flying back and forth more than once just to keep on top of finding all of her financial information. Our passwords are especially tricky in those cases because we do a really good job of trying to be diligent about keeping things confidential and not easily found. And yet today we're acquiring so many passwords for work-related sites, retail sites, music and entertainment sites, most of our banking and retirement and investing, our health, our prescriptions, our medical, the list goes on. So again, I'm not an expert on the area of identifying, creating your passwords, or even storing them in the most secure way. But my point is not to give you tips on that, but to help you think more along the lines of setting up a contingency plan for when someone else is going to need to access those passwords on your behalf. I've seen from experience in helping families all the way through their life and even after their life, realize and see how crucial those passwords can really be. Notice I didn't say if someone needs to access this information on your behalf. You have these tools in your financial toolbox, and they are no good to you, let alone someone else to help you if they can't access them. So if we end up in the hospital, for example, and you have to ask yourself, does The person who needs to know, maybe it's a significant other, it's a friend or a family member, somebody who needs to help you temporarily, do they know where to find the passwords? Or if you just pass away and you're not at the hospital and somebody definitely needs to find the passwords. So like I said, it's not an if, it's a when. Either way, someone needs to be able to access your passwords before or after you're gone. You're probably nodding your head, right? As we're talking about this, this is kind of like many areas of our life where there's things that we learn about, that we are aware of, that we know and agree they're important. And the hard part is the taking action on those guidelines, just like diet and exercise, for example. So it's a matter of thinking about it long enough to decide a plan of action and then to actually take that action. So that's why one of my favorite mantras to myself is that it's not just in the knowing, it's even more importantly in the doing, whether it's diet and exercise or financial related behaviors. So here's one option that I have seen families put into place as kind of their contingency plan, because we're certainly all in a different situation as to who will be helping us down the road, let alone when and what they'll be helping us with. And we don't always necessarily want them to know everything until they need to know everything, which is certainly understandable. So one solution to that is I've seen families write the information down and keep it in a sealed envelope. So where do they find the passwords? Where do they find an extra key to the house or a vehicle or the safe deposit box or the rest of the information that might be locked or under password somewhere else? So where do they physically find what they need to know when the time comes? You know, maybe those magic words, those passwords are password protected on a phone app or in an encrypted hard drive on our computer or in a binder or in a booklet or in a file. Again, we're all different in keeping those systems in a manner that works the best for us. But somebody is going to need that. And we need to be sure you get to decide who and when they find out. But the important part is taking action on that decision. So it's when those unexpected events come along, it's not about you knowing your passwords. It's about you having told someone how to access those passwords before that time ever comes. So that's my challenge for you today, is to think about what's most comfortable and makes most sense for you, and then do something about it today.